Planning a trip to New Zealand? I've got you covered. In this video, I'm going to be sharing what you need to see, how much to budget, and the ideal itinerary for 1, 2, or 3 weeks. I'll be focusing on the South Island as that's where I've travelled the most, so keep watching to get some top tips on planning your adventures to New Zealand. When I think about New Zealand, the first thing that comes to mind is dramatic landscapes and adventures. It's an impressive country to travel, and I can say that confidently as someone that's been there 5 times now. There's a reason I keep going back, and I'm sure you will too after your first visit to this beautiful country. Let's start with the weather and best time of year to visit New Zealand. So because New Zealand is on the southern hemisphere, the seasons are opposite if you're in North America or Europe or parts of Asia. That means that summer goes from December through to February and winter is June to August. New Zealand's weather can be very extreme at times, so it's one of those countries where you'll visit and you'll literally see 4 seasons in one day. Expect rain, snow, sun, and maybe even earthquakes. Personally, I think the best time to visit is the summertime, but that also is the most expensive time because we have the festive summer holidays that goes through December into January. So that is the peak season to visit New Zealand. Equally, I really love New Zealand in April. It's a bit cooler, but not too cold. And then if you want an absolute crazy winter adventure, go during the winter time and you are guaranteed to see snow-capped mountains and probably even skiing if you're into that as well. There's one tip that I always give any traveler looking to go to New Zealand, and it's make sure you have travel insurance. Seriously, this country is adventurous and absolutely magical, but things can go wrong quickly. Which brings me onto the partner of today's video, Safety Wing. I've been traveling for years now, and one thing that I learned very early on was that not all travel insurance is made for long-term or flexible travelers. Most companies want exact dates, return flights, and a whole checklist. And that's just not how people like us travel. Safety Wing is different. Their travel medical insurance is built for people who are constantly on the move. Whether you're working abroad, road tripping New Zealand, or bouncing around the world with no return date in sight. But if you do prefer fixed dates, they also have the option to purchase travel insurance for those specific trips. I've been using their Essential plan for over 4 years now, and it gives me total peace of mind that if anything went wrong, I'm covered. What I love is that it works like a subscription and it keeps rolling as long as I'm traveling. If you have any adventures coming up, make sure you scan the QR code on screen to create your free Safety Wing account. That way, when you're ready to move abroad, become a digital nomad, or maybe even adventure to New Zealand, you are ready to go. I'll also leave a link down below in the description box. All right then, let's get back to the New Zealand travel guide. Now let's talk about getting around New Zealand. So as I mentioned, in this video, I'm just going to be talking about the South Island. New Zealand is made up of 2 islands, north and south, and they are connected through by a ferry and very affordable domestic flights. So if you did want to see a lot of the country in a short amount of time, that would be very easy. I have traveled New Zealand in many ways, and these are my top 3 recommendations. I'm sure there's others, but these are the 3 that we're going to focus on in this video. The first and number 1 way that you should travel New Zealand is in a campervan. Now, traveling New Zealand in a campervan will cost you the most amount of money out of all of these, but you can't put a price tag on freedom, flexibility, and adventure. I did my first campervan trip in New Zealand this year and it did not disappoint. I'm so keen to go back. The reason that I think the campervan is the ultimate adventure in New Zealand is because not only do you have your wheels, you have your beds, and you can just like cook anywhere, and there's lots of free camps in New Zealand, which makes it very set up and geared towards camping. The toilet facilities that are dotted around public spaces are very clean. There's 2 apps that you can download to find facilities, including showers, toilets, and free campsites, which we all love, and they are WikiCamps and Campermate. I can only go off my own personal experience, but earlier this year when I did my van trip, the cheapest site that I paid was around $35, and that was for an unpowered site. And the most expensive one was $70 a night for a powered site. So it really does vary. Expect higher prices in places like Queenstown, and then in the smaller places, they'll be a lot cheaper. There's a really cool website that I found earlier this year, and I actually used it to book my campervan. It was called Vroom Vroom Campers, and it's just like a comparison search engine. So it pulls up all the best deals for different levels of campervan, whether you just want like a small Toyota campervan, or if you want a big Mercedes Sprinter like I hired this year. And I actually think it was very affordable. Expect higher prices in the summer months, but I did my trip in April and we paid $2,607 for an 8-night campervan trip, and that included the fully comprehensive insurance, because I always recommend you get that because you just never know what's going to happen. Option number 2 if you're traveling New Zealand is on a group tour. Now this was probably one of my fondest and best travel memories over my last 5 years of travel. There are 2 group tour companies that I would recommend traveling with in New Zealand, and they are Intro Travel and Kiwi Experiences. So Intro Travel is so great because they do North and South Island, or you can do both of them. I can speak from personal experience, and Intro Travel are just a very good company to travel with because everything is included. So if it says like all the activities are included, that's the price you pay. Accommodation, activities, everything's included. The staff are great, the ethos of the company is great, and I do have some sort of discount code, and I'll leave that somewhere on the screen here if you did want to get money off a trip with Intro Travel. The next company is called Kiwi Experience. So they do 2 kinds of different tours. The first is similar to Intro Travel, where you just pay a set price and they take you on the tour. They include everything. Or the way that I would recommend doing it is doing a hop-on, hop-off bus tour with Kiwi Experience. And basically what that means is you buy a bus pass with Kiwi Experience, you book how many days you want to go to each place, and then every day you get on the bus and you be like, right, I'm going to stay in this place tonight. I want to do bungee jumping here. I want to do this experience. They make it so easy and it's so fun, and it honestly felt like an adult school trip. It was the best month of my life. And the final option is by hiring a car and staying in hotels or hostels. Hostels in New Zealand are incredible. I tend to do a mix of both. If I'm with friends, we'll book a mix of hostels and hotels because staying in hotels every night can get very expensive. So if you are looking to book a hostel, they will range anywhere from $50 plus. And if you're looking at a hotel, I would honestly budget at least $125 per night minimum. Like if you were to stay in like the big fancy 5-star hotels, they could easily set you back $500, $600, $700, maybe even $1,000 per night. But minimum, I reckon you could probably get a budget hotel for around $100, $125. So use these costings as a way to plan your trip. And if you're going for like a week, you could be like, right, okay, this is how much hotels will cost, this is how much hostels will cost, or you could just do a mix of both. But from my personal experience, I've only had very positive experiences in New Zealand hostels. So those are the 3 main ways that I would recommend getting around. And you could plan your trip off what your travel style is. So if you are looking to make friends, maybe try Intro or the Kiwi Experience, or if you're a solo traveler and you just want to go off and do your own thing, maybe hire a campervan, hire a car, get some friends involved. Ultimately, you're going to have the best trip because New Zealand is just one of my favorite countries to travel. Now let's get on to the itinerary. I have 3 separate itineraries here. One is a suggested 1 week, suggested 2 week, and if you have 3 weeks, a suggested 3 week. So let's get into it. The cool thing about the South Island is it kind of goes round in a loop, and I'm only going to talk about places that I've personally been to. There is so many other places that I probably could include in this video, but I just haven't had a chance to go there. If you have any of your personal recommendations for places to visit in the South Island, please leave them down below because I'm always planning my next New Zealand adventure. More than likely, you are going to either land in Christchurch or Queenstown, but for the purpose of this video, you're landing in Christchurch. So if you just have 1 week, I would recommend picking up your van or car or starting your tour if you can in Christchurch, and then head down the east coast, and your first stop is going to be a beautiful place called Lake Tekapo. If you are planning a trip to New Zealand around springtime, you will be able to see the famous lupin season. There's these beautiful pink and lavender flowers that are just spread all around the Lake Tekapo area. I've only ever been just after this season, and it's such a shame because I've seen pictures of this place and it looks friggin' incredible. Some cool things to do in Lake Tekapo include stargazing, seeing the lupin season, walking around the Church of the Good Shepherd, and one of my new favorites is the Tekapo Springs. You can actually stay there in the evening and you can see all around the lake. It's incredible. After that, you're going to want to hit the road and go to Mount Cook, which is one of the most beautiful places in New Zealand. The reason people go to New Zealand is to experience mountains and glaciers and dramatic scenery, and you're going to get that at Mount Cook. One of the most famous hikes you can do is the Hooker Valley Trail. I believe it's currently closed, but it is reopening soon, so put that on your list of places to see. Then after you've hit up Mount Cook, you're going to drive through the Lindis Valley Pass, which is an incredible mountainous area. There's a few little places to stop and take pictures on the way, so make sure you have your camera at the ready before you land in Wanaka, which is one of my favorite places in the whole of New Zealand. It's a beautiful small town based on a lake, and the most popular activity to do here is the Roy's Peak hike. It's very tough. I've done it twice. I said I will never do it again, but I think everyone needs to do this hike at sunrise once in their life. And the reason it's so tough is because it's so vertical. I have a moderate level of fitness and I still struggle with this hike. It's a good day hike, so it will take at least 7 hours. So bring plenty of snacks, and then you can lounge by Wanaka Lake afterwards. And a few of my favorite places include the Lavender Farm. If you're there in summer, it's in full bloom and it's incredible to see. And Big Fig, which is a very cozy eatery. It's like a buffet style, so you can pick which dishes you like. I'll link some other New Zealand videos down below which go into more detail about each of these places that I've been to, but those are just a few of my favorite places to see in Wanaka. After you spend a day or two in Wanaka, you're going to head down to one of the most popular places in New Zealand, which is Queenstown. So Queenstown is incredibly beautiful. It's a ski town slash village. It's very easy to walk around. And if you go there in the winter, you're guaranteed to see snow. It's where people go skiing. There are so many adrenaline-filled activities you can do in Queenstown, like bungee jumping with AJ Hackett. There's the big swing that you can do. I did that a couple of years ago. That was incredible. And one of my new favorite activities, which is the shot over jet, which goes through the canyon area. And it's just one of my favorite experiences I've ever done in New Zealand. So if you're there, it's around $120 and it is totally worth your money. If you're looking for more relaxing activities, you could do some lodging, which you can access from Queenstown town itself. Or if you're feeling a bit bougie and you just want to relax even more, I would recommend going to the onsen spa. It's quite expensive, but you do get your own personal onsen for 1 hour. They include snacks and you get the most incredible mountain views. And no trip to Queenstown is complete without going to Arrowtown. You could probably spend a day or two here, but if you're limited on time, I would recommend spending at least a morning or afternoon here. And then there's another really cool place just outside Queenstown called Airburn, which is this beautiful, fabulous place where you can have drinks and food. It's kind of like a little village of lots of different food, bars, and yeah, it's just a very beautiful place and I recommend you go there. If you have the time, do a day trip to Milford Sound. If you're on the Kiwi experience or you're hiring a car or a camper van, just know that this will take up a full day if you're coming from Queenstown. It is at least a 4-hour drive there. And then the most popular thing to do is do one of the boat cruises, or you can do a kayak cruise in Milford Sound. But it's this beautiful fjord area, which is, it rains like 200 days of the year, but I would actually recommend going on a day where it looks like it's gonna rain because it looks even more incredible. The way the mist just falls around the fjord and the drive there is so dramatic. It's one of the biggest highlights of a New Zealand South Island trip. So that is all the things I would recommend. That's gonna be an action-packed adventure if you're going to New Zealand for 1 week. Now, if you have 2 weeks, you're a lucky thing. This is the trip that I did earlier this year, and it is a loop from Christchurch all the way to Christchurch. So once you've spent a couple of days in Queenstown, I would recommend driving up to a small coastal place called Haast. And on that drive, you're gonna wanna stop at places like Wanaka's Blue Paws, there's Roaring Billy's Falls, Thunder Creek Falls. There's lots of incredible waterfalls to see there. Spend a night in Haast or continue driving up to Franz Josef. Once you head to Franz Josef, you are now in glacier territory. So just before you hit Franz Josef, there is a smaller glacial area called Fox Glacier. One thing that you have to do if you drive through Fox Glacier is go and see Matheson Lake. Now this is a beautiful lake area. You can walk all around it. I think it would take around an hour, hour and a half. But if you catch the lake on a perfectly still, non-windy day, you will see a beautiful reflection of the mountains into the lake. I've seen it once in my life. It was amazing. And you just have to stop there. And then once you're in Franz Josef, one of the most popular things to do here, and I experienced this for the first time, is the Franz Josef heli hike. Now this hike gets cancelled more than it actually goes ahead. Now my first experience back here in 2020, I was there for 3 days. It got cancelled every day. But luckily when I was there earlier this year, I plan to spend 2 days there. The first day got cancelled, it went ahead the second day, and it was a once in a lifetime experience. It is very expensive, so if you do have the budget or if you have extra funds, I would recommend putting your budget towards doing this activity, because when are you ever going to hike on a glacier? Even just the scenic helicopter ride onto the glacier, I think that was my highlight. Like, just seeing the glacier from above, it was mind-blowing. And then there's a few cool things you can check out in Franz Josef, like Peter's Pool, and just seeing the glacier from different angles. There's a few like cute little pubs and little cafes, but it's a very small town. Once you're done in Franz Josef, you can then head back to Christchurch, where you're going to pass some beautiful places like Hokitika Gorge and Arthur's Pass, which is the beginning of a very scenic driveway back to Christchurch. A few places you need to see in Arthur's Pass include the Devil's Punch Bowl, Castle Hill, and you'll just want to get out the car like every 5 minutes because it's just such a beautiful area. I would say you would need to spend at least 1, maybe 2 full days doing the drive from Franz Josef to Christchurch, just because there's so many little walks you can do, little cafes to stop at, viewpoints, and you want to take your time, because the great thing about New Zealand is it's just so made for road trips. That covers your 2-week trip to New Zealand. If you're lucky enough to have 3 weeks to explore New Zealand, I would recommend actually missing out Arthur's Pass and going straight up the west coast, and the third and final week will be focusing on the top half of the South Island. I've only done that section once, so I'm not too experienced, but there's a few cool places that you need to check out, like Abel Tasman National Park. I would recommend at least 2 days there. And then if you are a fan of the wine, you can head into wine country in Blenheim before heading down the coast to Kaikoura. A very popular thing to do in Kaikoura as well is hang out with the dolphins and whales depending on the time of the year. And then you're going to make your way down to Christchurch, and that is where your journey will finish. I know that last bit was very rough and ready, but it's because I just haven't explored that area enough. But I hope this is giving you a glimpse at what you could possibly do if you had 1, 2, or 3 weeks in New Zealand. I will link down below loads of other videos that go into way more detail. You could do this itinerary clockwise, anti-clockwise. You can do it however you want, but I feel like I've covered some of the main spots that you should be considering to see in New Zealand. Now let's get on to a few tips that I would give you if you were traveling New Zealand. The currency that they use in New Zealand is New Zealand dollars. I would always recommend traveling with a Wise card, which allows you to spend locally. New Zealand isn't known for its beautiful beaches. What it is known for is pristine nature, hiking, glaciers, lakes, and dramatic scenery. So get prepared to get your camera out like every 5 minutes, because you're just going to want to take so many pictures. I really just think New Zealand is a once-in-a-lifetime adventure, and everyone needs to have that adventure at least once in their life. The weather can be extreme in New Zealand, so prepare to see 4 seasons in one day. Make sure you're packing at least a light rain jacket, and I would recommend bringing lots of layers because it can get cold or it can get hot if you're in the sun. The sun is very strong in New Zealand, so make sure you're wearing SPF. The reason it's so strong is because it actually sits under one of the thinnest parts of the ozone layer in the world. And New Zealand has very little pollution, which means that the UV rays can get to you. I always recommend wearing SPF 50, which may sound like a lot if you're coming from Europe, but trust me, I've been there, I've been sunburned in New Zealand on like a 15-degree day, and it's just not very nice. And my last tip is respect the nature. New Zealand is one of the cleanest and most pristine environments I've ever been to. Look after the country that you're visiting and have fun. A big thanks to Safety Wing for partnering with me on this video. They are my go-to travel insurance, and I wouldn't go anywhere without them. You should check them out below by heading to the link in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have the best adventures in New Zealand. Until next time, take care and peace out.